My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I was not going to mention this, but other people are chirping about it, so I will mention it. Former City Councilman Sal Albanese, who also ran for mayor 3 times and was served on the Charter Revision Commission as an appointee of Eric Adams, then the Brooklyn Borough President. So he's a very well-connected guy in city government, Democrat. He tweeted a couple of hours ago the following. A usually good source tells me that the mayor, Eric Adams, is cutting a deal with feds and resigning in 72 hours. This guy has been reliable in the past, but who knows? That's what Sal Albanese said. Now, I mention this because I heard last night something similar. I heard that the mayor was negotiating his exit and that we could see a situation in which the mayor may resign by Saturday. So if Sal is hearing this and if I'm hearing it, I doubt it was from the same person, but who knows, then I think within a day or so, everybody is going to be hearing about this. And it would also explain why he has sort of been in deep seclusion all week and yet still been willing to take meetings with union heads and other people, which is not something you usually do if you have a serious contagious illness. So let's say the rumor is true. And I want to caution you, I'm not saying it is true. I'm just saying this is what I've heard. Let's say the rumor is true that the mayor is going to resign by Saturday. What happens? Well, the most immediate thing that happens is that the New York City public advocate, Jumaane Williams, becomes the acting mayor. He'll finish out, he'll serve for 80 days, and then there would be a nonpartisan special election for mayor. What does that mean? With ranked choice voting, by the way. That means on or about April 29th, all of the candidates running for mayor would run in the same election. No Republican candidate, no Democratic candidate. Andrew Cuomo would be on the same ballot as Curtis Sliwa, as Brad Lander, as Scott Stringer. All of the candidates would run with a made-up party name. For instance, Curtis could call himself his party the Law and Order Party. Andrew Cuomo could call his party the Support Israel Party, anything like that. And then on April 29th, all of the candidates would appear before the voters on the same ballot, and the voters would rank their choices. If anyone wins a majority of the vote, that person's elected. If no one gets a majority, then the person with the least number of votes sees their votes transferred to those voters' second choice. And this continues until someone has a majority. I don't know who the favorite is in a special election, but I'll tell you, that is the best possible scenario for Curtis Sliwa to be elected mayor.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
That moment when you realize your skincare is actually working. That's Rodan & Fields, the #1 female dermatologist-founded skincare brand in the U.S. Designed by 2 dermatologists who don't just know women's skin, they know how to formulate for it. Rodan & Fields, love what you see. Tap the banner or visit rodanandfields.com/Spotify to get your exclusive welcome offer.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Jim McGreevey's bid to become the next mayor of Jersey City just got a major boost. An endorsement from Governor Phil Murphy. And let's be clear, this isn't just any endorsement. Murphy is all in. praising McGreevey's experience and his leadership in municipal government, the state legislature, and as governor. That's a heavyweight backing in a crowded field where McGreevey is facing off against Council President Joyce Waterman, Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day, former Board of Education President Masab Ali, and Councilman James Solomon. Now, let's not sugarcoat it. This is a comeback that could be the most remarkable in New Jersey's long history of political second acts. McGreevey resigned in 2004 in a scandal that made national headlines. Since then, he's reinvented himself, dedicated his time to the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. He's been a guest on this program talking about it. He's helped former inmates transition back into society. That work has earned him bipartisan respect, particularly among those who believe in second chances. And Murphy's endorsement signals that, at least in New Jersey political circles, McGreevey is back in the fold. Of course, not everyone is thrilled. James Solomon's campaign wasted no time slamming the endorsement, calling McGreevey a relic of the political machine, criticizing his record on taxes and even tying him to Donald Trump's former strategists. It's a classic insurgent versus establishment argument, with Solomon positioning himself as the reformer against a well-connected insider. But let's take a step back. McGreevey isn't some old-school power broker trying to reclaim the glory days. He spent years outside elected office working with some of the most vulnerable populations in the state. That experience, coupled with his past tenure as governor and mayor, makes him arguably the most seasoned candidate in the race. Whether voters will embrace that experience or prefer a fresh face like Solomon remains to be seen. What is clear, however, is that McGreevey's comeback is real, and if he pulls this off, it will go down as one of the greatest political resurrections in Garden State history. We did the segment a week or so ago on the greatest comebacks, period. Not just political comebacks, not just national political comebacks. I believe Donald Trump's comeback to get elected president is probably the greatest political comeback of all time. But on a local level, leaving office in disgrace and then 21 years later getting elected as one of New Jersey's largest cities' mayors is very impressive. We'll see what happens.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
How does PwC take your company to the leading edge? They bring the sharpest minds in tech to your team, so you can bring the ideas that will transform your business. They're passionate about your industry, so you can walk into any room with every advantage. And they're with you every step of the way, so you can know you're headed in the right direction. PwC builds for what's next, so you can get there now. Get started at pwc.com/us/leading edge.
The Other Side at Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Have you heard the phrase taxation without representation? Well, that's exactly how New Yorkers should feel about the outrageous $155,000 pay raise given to State Education Commissioner Betty Rosa without public notice, without a formal vote, and seemingly without a shred of consideration for the taxpayers footing the bill. Let's be clear. This isn't monopoly money. This isn't some corporate bonus funded by private profits. This is taxpayer money, your money, being used to pad the pockets of an already highly paid public servant. And all while our public schools continue to struggle, classrooms remain overcrowded, and parents fight for basic resources for their children. Rosa's salary went from $334,000 in 2021 to nearly $500,000 today, $489,000 to be exact. That's a higher salary than the governor of New York, higher than many of the very superintendents she oversees. The justification? That some school district superintendents earn comparable salaries. But comparing a state education commissioner's salary to a local school superintendent is like comparing apples to oranges. Different responsibilities, different scales of operation, and most importantly, different levels of accountability. What's worse, this raise was handed out quietly, sotto voce. No public debate, no transparency, just a rubber-stamped decision that lawmakers on key budget committees weren't even informed about. And now we're supposed to just accept that this was necessary and fair? What message does this send to teachers struggling to get by on modest salaries, to parents paying higher taxes while school funding never seems to be enough, to New Yorkers who are facing higher costs of living while their public servants hand themselves raises that far exceed what most people make in a year? No one is questioning Commissioner Rose's credentials or experience, but this isn't about her qualifications. It's about fairness and optics. When New York's education system has so many pressing issues, when classrooms are underfunded, and when hardworking families are already overburdened by taxes, this kind of excess is a slap in the face. At the end of the day, public service should be about serving the public, not enriching oneself at the taxpayer's expense. Maybe instead of handing out massive raises in secret, the Board of Regents should be focused on improving the quality of education in this state. That would be money well spent.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by Loom by Atlassian. Are you feeling stuck at work? Get your team unstuck with Loom video messaging and move work forward. Use Loom to simultaneously record both your screen and yourself to share a quick update, provide feedback, train a colleague, and everything in between. Plus, add Loom AI to your meetings for instant written notes and recordings. Try Loom today at Loom.com. That's LOOM.com.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
New York City politics is often unpredictable, but one thing is certain: money talks. And if there's a special election for mayor and Jessica Tisch decides to spend $100 million of her family's fortune, she can win. Lately, there's been a surge of chatter about Tisch as a potential mayoral candidate. Just this week, Fred Smith and Tom Allen both wrote separate opinion pieces floating the idea. They compared her to Mike Bloomberg, another billionaire technocrat who bypassed the usual political career ladder to run City Hall like a corporation. The comparison isn't baseless. Like Bloomberg, Tisch has a Harvard MBA, a reputation for managerial competence, and most importantly, the ability to self-fund a campaign to a degree no other candidate can match. And if there is a special election and it takes place on April 29th, it's a very short window. And if you can get on TV every day in that time, I think it's going to be very difficult to overcome. The timing couldn't be more interesting. Mayor Eric Adams is in political freefall, dogged by corruption investigations and sinking poll numbers. If he somehow exits the race, voluntarily or otherwise, the field will be wide open. Even if Adams stays in, a ranked choice primary means a well-funded, non-traditional candidate like Tisch could gain traction as an alternative to career politicians. Remember, Catherine Garcia nearly pulled it off in 2021, and she didn't have a fraction of the resources that Tisch could deploy. What makes Tisch viable isn't just her wealth, although honestly that's a big part of it. It's her resume. She's been a behind-the-scenes power broker in city government for years, running the sanitation department before being tapped as police commissioner. She's already making waves in that role. From shaking up NYPD leadership to tackling overtime abuse, New Yorkers are desperate for order on the streets, in the subways, and at City Hall. Tisch, with her no-nonsense managerial style, could position herself as the law and order reformer who actually knows how to get things done. Of course, there are challenges. Unlike Bloomberg, Tisch has never run a private sector empire. She's been a government insider her whole career. She's also never run for office, meaning she'll have to quickly prove she can connect with voters beyond the Upper East Side and City Hall conference rooms. And let's not forget her current boss, Mayor Adams. If he doesn't resign, he could make life very difficult for her if she steps into the race. But here's the reality. If Tisch decides to run and throws in a Bloomberg-level war chest, the dynamics of the race shift overnight. With $100 million, there's no telling what could happen. To be continued.